Hello and welcome to the Saintly Sounder, your source for all things FIFA. Today I'm going to be trying to help you squad build. I'm going to try to help you make the perfect team. And since we're going to go fairly in depth and list some players out, I thought it was best to split this into two videos. Today's topic is defense. That's center backs, wing backs, and holding midfielders. So I wanted to start out by highlighting a bad squad that I played last night that some might not actually recognize as being a poorly designed squad. He has the best front three in the game imaginable, but due to the fact he has a whole bunch of high work rates in his midfield and defense, as well as a lack of defensive stats out of his two holding mids, I ran right through this guy. This was a Division 1 game. The guy was pretty decent on offense, but his defense was in shambles. He was so easy to counter against, and that's what I'm going to try to teach you how to prevent. While this guide will give you a foundation on which to build a strong squad and win games, each individual will be different. So keep tinkering your squad until you find something that can consistently win you games, as well as play the style that you actually want to play and will have fun using. Good defensive play starts with the center backs. An ideal center back is strong, fast, tall, and has good defensive stats, but you probably all already knew that. But where people start to get a little crazy is in the work rates. Work rates are absolutely key. Low-high obviously being the best work rates for a center back. Medium-high being more common and also ideal. With medium-medium being an acceptable, you could have two medium-mediums. But once you start getting into the high work rates or the high-medium work rates, it's really starting to get important that you focus on making sure the other center back complements that high offensive work rate with a more defensive mindset. So here's some examples. By all means, I don't think it's comprehensive. I might have missed one or two guys. But Bragzali, Chiellini, Silva, Cáceres, Juan Jesus, and Pepe are all examples of perfect center backs. This is a basis for which to build a team. And you can even see a pair right there straight off the bat. You have Bragzali and Chiellini. That's perfect links. You can basically do whatever you want if you have those two in together. So here's a list of guys whose work rates perhaps let them down a little bit. Although it's hard to mess up a squad with a guy like Company or Cahill or Socrates, Boateng, it is important to note that if you have a guy, say you pair David Luiz and Company together somehow, the medium work rates and the high-medium of David Luiz could leave you exposed. You have to be able to take that into account, and if you are getting hit on the counterattack, this is the first place to look, is the work rates of your center backs, and this is normally the place where you can adjust and fix a lot of problems without completely destroying your entire team. Not to state the obvious, but the perfect wingback is one that has 6 perfect stats. That is above 80 in every category. However, there are some stats that are more important than others: pace, defense, physical, and crossing. You can't underestimate the power of a wingback getting around defenders and crossing the ball in. It isn't very effective. For work rates, I find high to be the best. I like a guy to get up the field then work his way back. Of course, they need stamina, but guys like Pt.1 are so good at that. High-medium is also pretty good, and medium-high and high-low are special cases in my opinion, and I'll go over that at the end. Alright, so here are the guys I consider to be the perfect wingbacks. Guys like Danilo even contribute a shooting aspect that's quite rare. But Walker, Sandro, they all provide pace, strength, defense. They're not horrible at whipping the ball in either, and that's really useful. High work rate guys like Pizek, as I mentioned, have the ability to lock a whole third of the field down because they're just working the whole entire game. So here are the guys I consider to be good wingbacks. Guys like Evra and Clichy, they most certainly can get the job done, but they're missing a certain aspect. For Evra, he's a little tiny. Clichy, a little bit weak. DeMarcos lacks defensive stats. Bedimo lacks the defense. Maicon's a little slow. All these guys, though, can most certainly fit into a squad and be part of a really solid team, so you shouldn't be discouraged if you have to use them for chemistry. Now, center defensive mid is the most important position on the field in my opinion. It links the backs with the attack. It's also the first line of defense you have if you're going to get killed on the counter. For that reason, the perfect CDM should have medium-high or low-high work rates, and ideally you would like them to have 80 plus at everything. The problem with that requirement is that there really isn't a CDM in the game that isn't a legend that meets those requirements. The closest to come to it is Felipe Melo, but his links are so poor that I think you'd need a full Brazilian team or a Turkish league team to be able to actually fit him in at CDM on full chem. So the real question becomes, what do you really want in your CDM? Because none are perfect. There's not one guy I can point to and be like, this is the guy you must absolutely have. If you're getting hit on the counter, guys like DeRossi and Matic, who have really good defensive stats, but are only about a 7 out of 10 in every other category, might be your man. But at the same time, if you're playing a center mid heavy formation and you have a lot of cover and a lot of other center mids with good defensive stats, you might consider a guy like Vidal, Matuidi, Ramirez, Marquisio to play that role, because while they will get up and leave you exposed, you do have the cover around them to limit your potential for getting hurt on the break. And then you have your big maulers, your Toures, your Wanayamas, your Fairs, and these guys will control your midfield. Toure, the only reason he's not considered a perfect CDM in my opinion is his work rates are medium this year, which could leave you exposed. Wanayama, although he has medium-high work rates, his pace, his passing, his dribbling all are a little low, and Fair is in the same boat as Wanayama. But all of this depends on your playstyle. You got to figure out what you want from your CDM and then adjust accordingly. So I just wanted to highlight the guys who are not CDMs, and this is based on people giving squad requests and stuff where they include these guys in this position, so I'm not making this up. Chaffee, Iniesta, Ozil, Fabregas, and Rakitic are not center defensive mids. Center mids, yes, but they do not have the defense, the strength, the physicality that you want out of a center defensive mid. Unless I had Patrick Vieira next to them, that's the only way I'd ever play them in that role. I wanted to close with the two big special cases that come to mind: Dani Alves and his high-low work rate, and Stefan Radu and his medium-high work rate. Dani Alves is perfect for the kind of player that doesn't have a lot of possession, likes to hit on the counter. He's going to bomb up the field, and he's going to leave you exposed on defense, but at the same time, if your opponent possesses against you a lot, he's going to be back there anyway, regardless of his work rates, so you may not notice them as much. Stefan Radu is the exact opposite. If maybe you possess a lot and you're worried about getting hit on the counter and you don't need much more offense, say you have a weak left winger like Hazard or Shawari or something, a guy that maybe leaves you not as much coverage or not as much defensive strength, Stefan Radu might be for you. He doesn't offer a lot going forward, but his big strength is being able to cover your defense, and that's also something to be said. If that sounds like you, Radu might be for you. Alright, that concludes part 1 of Squad Building 101. Like and subscribe if you found this at all interesting or helpful. I'm on Twitch at the Saintly Sounder. I try to broadcast 1 game a night. And I'm also on Twitter at TheRedDeath329 if that's your thing. Until next time, see you on the pitch.